Wink News begins with breaking news.
Good morning. It's Monday, September 7th. I'm Therese O'Shea.
And I'm Sean Kreisman. Rob Spicker and Jen Stacy have the day off. We're going to start you right now with breaking news in Fort Myers this morning. In the last 15 minutes, we have learned Fort Myers police is now investigating a homicide.
That's right. This is happening right now in the 3000 block of Fowler Street. Wink News reporter Stephanie Susskind was first on the scene. She's live now with the latest. Stephanie, what can you tell us?
Well, as you mentioned, this is now a homicide investigation. And as you take a look out here, detectives and police officers have actually cleared the scene just minutes ago. They have wrapped up their investigation out here, but we saw dozens of evidence markers all over the ground as police conducted this investigation in front of Tropical Creole Restaurant. Now, we'll show you some video from when Wink News first arrived on scene. Police say this all happened just after 2 o'clock. There was a large crowd coming out of the Tropical Creole Restaurant. This is on Fowler Street at the corner of Hunter Terrace. When this all happened, police say someone fired shots. They responded and found a man laying on the ground with a gunshot wound. He was rushed to the hospital where he later died. Now, police say that 2 men exchanged gunfire and the other person involved did remain on scene and talk to investigators about what happened. So we don't know yet the status of whether that person will be facing charges in this investigation. Now, we can tell you that police collected a lot of evidence out here. There were bullet casings. Allegedly, there was a bullet hole in the back of a car. We saw detectives working on that car. It looked like they were trying to remove something, and then that driver of that car eventually drove off. But Fowler Street is completely open. The crime scene unit has left. Once again, this is now a homicide investigation. Count on Wink News for updates as we get them. Live in Fort Myers, Stephanie Susskind, Wink News this morning.
Now, Wink weather on the one.
Since your Wink News traffic, Therese and Sean, back over to you.
All right, John, thank you. Wink News is also following a pair of serious accidents that happened over the weekend, one of those being deadly. Within just the last 20 minutes, Wink News has learned 2 people on a motorcycle died in a crash in Lehigh Acres. This all happened at State Road 82 at Alabama Road around 9:15 Sunday night. The road was completely shut down for hours and didn't open back up until after 3 o'clock this morning. While driving down Alabama Road, that motorcyclist ran a stop sign at the intersection. Trying to stop, the motorcycle ended up sliding through the intersection, throwing 2 passengers off of the bike. A person driving a Chevy Tahoe hit the 2 that were ejected from that motorcycle, killing them. And within just the last hour, we got some new information on a hit-and-run crash in Collier County. This accident completely shut down State Road 29, starting at Oil Well Road to the interstate for about 5 hours. That also has reopened since the crash cleared. All new this morning, the Florida Highway Patrol tells Wink News a Ford Expedition traveling north hit the rear bumper of a Lexus 350, forcing it into the southbound lane. That Lexus ended up hitting a Chevy Camaro, causing both vehicles to catch fire. The driver of the Ford fled the scene, but 29-year-old Christopher Medina was driving the Camaro. He and his passenger, 7-year-old Hennessy Medina, are in serious and critical condition, respectively, this morning. And all new this morning, the Minnesota dentist who was accused of killing the protected Cecil the lion has finally gone public.
Yeah, in an interview with the Associated Press, Walter Palmer says he's returning to work tomorrow. Now, Palmer says he spent more than a month out of sight because of threats against his life and protests all over the country, some even right here in Southwest Florida. Palmer owned a home on Marco Island, which saw its share of vandalism. Now, speaking for the very first time, Palmer says he believes he did act legally during his hunt and was, quote, stunned to find out his hunting party killed one of Zimbabwe's treasured animals. Palmer said he shot the big cat with an arrow. Then when Cecil didn't die immediately, he tracked it down the next day to kill it with an arrow. Now, this contradicts reports Cecil wandered injured for 40 hours after getting hit with the arrow and was killed with a gun. Now, some high-level Zimbabwean officials have called for Palmer's extradition, but no formal steps toward getting the dentist to return to Zimbabwe have been publicly disclosed. You can read more about this interview with Palmer on our Wink News website, winknews.com.
And tonight, happening at 7 o'clock, there will be a vigil held at the North Lake Tiki Hut to mourn the loss of a former Florida Gulf Coast student. It's also an Eagle alumni. Died this weekend in a tragic accident in Mexico. 22-year-old Rebecca Oliveira died as a result of an explosion. Media outlets in Mexico say a gas leak in her apartment caused that explosion, and she was transported to the hospital with severe burns, but died Saturday morning. Rebecca was a member of several clubs on campus, such as the Orientation Group and Phi Mu sorority, as well as the FGCO Rotary. Her friends say she was determined to solve the water pollution problem in Mexico.
I didn't believe it was true because she's just such like an amazing person. Like I didn't want it to be true, and she's my best friend. So it was just heartbreaking, and I broke down and I started crying because I wanted it to be a lie.
Rebecca graduated from FGCU this past spring and was working on her master's degree in environmental engineering at the University of Monterey. Again, that vigil is happening tonight at the North Lake Tiki Hut at 7 o'clock.
Now this morning, the search will pick up again to find 54-year-old Robert Passant. The 54-year-old was lost somewhere in the Gulf. The Coast Guard suspended that very search last night. Robert was swimming Saturday with his girlfriend, Sheila View, when their boat, it started to drift away. Now, this was about a mile offshore near Gordon's Pass. Robert told Sheila to swim for the boat because she's a faster swimmer, but when she realized she would not make it, Sheila headed for land, and she swam for 4 hours to Keewaydin Island, where she told authorities what had happened.
All new this morning on Wink, you may have seen the story on Facebook. 2 San Antonio area high school football players are suspended for what's perceived to be a deliberate tackle on a referee. Now, take a look at the top of your screen right here. Right after the snap, you see one of the defenders from John Jay High School make a beeline for the referee. Then a second player dives onto the ref, leading with his helmet. It's believed this radical act of unsportsmanlike behavior was retaliation for what those players thought was a bad call earlier in the game. An investigation has been opened into that incident. So hopefully we find out this wasn't necessarily a cheap shot. Either way, you don't like to see unsportsmanlike conduct on the field. Not
Definitely
good.
Not.
Well, thanks so much for making Big News this morning, your #1 choice for morning news.
That's right. Right after the break, Big News meteorologist Mary Mays helps you plan your day with the weather on the One's forecast. The time is 6:08. You're watching Big News this morning.
Every cup has a story.
My Dunkin' Latte is a midday treat.
I can't think without my Dunkin' Latte.
My Dunkin' Latte brightens my mood.
It's a premium latte without a premium price.
Get any small latte for 99 cents from 3 to 6 p.m. Your coffee, your Dunkin'.
Let's celebrate what's really important. Let's celebrate backyards, lifetime relationships, and over 225 stores, because after 40 years, we're more than a neighborhood pool store. We're a company built around families, just like yours. Pinch a penny for 40 years.
It's the Allison Craig Home Furnishings Overstock Warehouse Clearance Event. Look for the yellow tags throughout the warehouse for values up to 75% off. We're clearing out all existing floor samples to make room for new fall collections. Naples Daily News, Choice Champion, Best Furniture Store.
The Yellow Tag Clearance Event
is on now at Allison Craig.
Family owned and operated.
The more you learn about your insurance, the more gaps you may find. Like how you think you have coverage for this when you only have coverage for this.
That's not homework.
Talk to farmers and see what gaps could be hiding in your coverage.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Listen up, Barney Cannon, Caroline. Yeah? We got to continue one more month.
You think so?
One more, just one more month.
Back by popular demand, we're doing it again. Purchase or lease a new Kia from Fusillo Kia. You're coming to Club Med. 7 days, 6 nights. Everybody's been talking about it.
I just want to party.
But you know what?
I want to party all night, Caroline.
Shocking.
I feel like you.
Hey, listen. This is the last time we're doing it. We're not bringing it back again. So don't.
Yeah.
Florida Community Bank is your local bank. We're working hard to make a difference for our customers. We want to be your bank of choice.
We're Alpha Title Services of Florida. I switched to Florida Community Bank knowing that I wanted to stay with a local bank. The service at Florida Community Bank is exceptional.
We want you to come grow with us at Florida Community Bank.
Florida Community Bank, Florida-based and Florida-focused. Built here, based here.
Let's face it, hurricane season is no fun. So Action Automatic Door and Gate and our friends at Clopay are here to help. Take a look.
This month, only get a whole new garage door system starting at just $9.95. That's a beautiful, durable Hurricane Code Clopay garage door and a LiftMaster opener installed for just $9.95.
Action Automatic Door and Gate. Now you're talking.
When you want it done the right way, Action Automatic Door and Gate. Home of the talking door.
Come see our showroom today.
A wave of game day excitement is rolling into Dunkin'. Taste the new Tailgater Breakfast Sandwich stacked with smoked sausage, fire-roasted peppers, and onions. America runs on Dunkin'.
Wink Weather sponsored by
Sam Galloway Ford. Who can? Sam can.
Now, Wink weather on the ones.
I come from a land of love. Be the slow and mention love.
I'm trying to figure out why we picked this song today. Maybe because Men at Work is the band on it.
Men at Work.
Labor Day.
Our
There we
producer
go.
Brad just told us Men at Work. How can you not get jazzy to that? That's good stuff.
Exactly. We need to get a little jazzy on a Labor Day Monday and enjoy ourselves. We need a little sunshine for it if we can, Mary.
Fingers crossed. I'm going to try my best.
Okay.
We will have a few clouds out there, of course, and some storms. But, you know, we should get some sunshine in there. And it's not going to be a complete washout, but we do have scattered storms and rain in the forecast. So you'll need...
Well, today, President Obama will sign an executive order requiring paid sick leave for employees of federal contractors. The White House says 300,000 of those workers will be getting benefits for the first time. The president will address the executive order at a major union rally and breakfast this morning in Boston. The White House wouldn't specify the cost to federal contractors to implement that executive order, but contract workers will get a minimum of 1 hour of paid leave for every 30 hours they work. That's up to 7 days per year. And for those of you heading home for the Labor Day weekend today from your vacation, gas prices are still down. Good news for all of us. Prices at the pump have been falling since June. AAA says the average price of regular gasoline nationally is now $2.40 per gallon. That's more than $1 less than it was a year ago. In fact, the last time Labor Day gas prices were this low, George W. Bush was in his first term as president. And as we said, the national average this morning is at $2.40, but here in Southwest Florida, our average is actually pretty well below that. It's at $2.20. That was $3.36 a year ago, if you can believe that.
Well, many wine drinkers are looking forward to enjoying the last days of summer with a bottle of rosé. But a number of retailers are having trouble keeping it in stock. And as Week News reporter Joe Wagner finds out, serious wine drinkers used to turn their noses up at the thought of it, but now rosé is making a big splash.
At the Wolfer Estate Vineyard in the Hamptons of New York, fields of grapes go into making their most popular wine, rosé.
So what do you think is behind the popularity of rosé?
Well, again, you know, it's about the lifestyle. It's about summer.
Co-owner Joey Wolfer says sales of rosé picked up a few years ago, and now they sell out by the end of the summer.
Each year, do you keep making more?
Yeah, and every year we're like, we're not going to sell out this year. Because it's not like an insecurity, but we can't believe that we could sell out of that much wine, but we do every year.
Wine Spectator's James Molesworth says rosé is making a nationwide comeback. 30 years ago, rosés were made cheap and sweet and started to lose popularity.
It was not considered a serious wine. It's not red, it's not white. You know, men don't want to drink rosé, but really that has all disappeared as the quality of rosé has gotten better.
Today's versions are crisp, drier, and Americans are buying it. From 2012 to 2014, U.S. sales jumped 80%. Even Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are getting in on the act. The couple started their own French rosé in 2012. And the wine is now popular among men. Some are giving it the nickname brosé.
It's just an easy wine to drink. You don't have to know a lot about it, and it goes with everything.
Rosé sales are expected to go even higher. That has Wolfer looking at boosting production again next year.
All right, we have to talk about this because Therese really knows a lot about rosé. Therese,
Just a little bit.
What's the deal with this?
I don't know. I probably don't know nearly as much as you know about brosé.
Brosé.
Yeah.
We haven't had any brosé this morning.
That's
but
enjoying
hey,
a nice glass of rosé with your bros, I'm pretty sure.
I guess so. Rosé
That's how
making
we'll
a
enjoy the
comeback.
Labor Day weekend, I think. Labor Day holiday. Well, thanks.
That's your Week News traffic. Trace, jump back over to you.
All right, John, thank you. Well, we want to wish you, of course, all a happy Labor Day to you in Southwest Florida. If you're actually up watching with us at this hour, thank
maybe
you.
getting ready,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. But maybe you have to work like us as well.
And also, like us, you want to relax after work. We love to do that. And today, there's a great place to go. So where's Wink Now? Week News reporter Andrew Scheinthal is live at 6 with the answer.
Well, Southwest Florida is full of options for Labor Day, but there's one place that I can think of that does it all, from petting zoos to rides to putt-putt golf to great food and bumper boats, and it's here at the Shell Factory. I'm joined once again with Ms. Ann Sheridan. Ann, thank you so much for waking up early with us. And we have your zip line here, and we're going to do this in just a second here, but tell me a little bit about this. This is a pretty unique experience you can get here at the Shell Factory.
Absolutely great. We've got it over a year now, and we've done 38,000 rides. You go 110 feet up, 363 feet out.
Well, and it lights up this beautiful blue, and I've seen it change some colors. So we're going to send Bobby off now. So all I do is I hit the green button right over here.
Yes, you do.
All right, here we go. Green button. I like pushing buttons, so here we go. There he goes. All right, so 110 feet in the air, he said he's going to go?
Yep, he absolutely is.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
And so there's a couple other things going on at the Shell factory here. First of all, I want to pull Jacoby out of the way because that thing's going to come running down this zip line just a second here. But there's a couple other stuff going on at the Shell factory people can do today, one of which being live entertainment.
Yes, we do. From 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we have Chuck Peterson. He's phenomenal. And everybody dances to him, the kids and the adults. So he's for the whole family. And then, of course, in the meantime, we'll be having our putt-putt golf contest and our hula hoop. Maybe you want to do that, Andrew.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, here comes Bobby headed down this way, and 30 miles per hour. That's how fast this goes. And, of course, you get a photo to come back with you. And here he is. It's going to... Oh, goodness. So a lot of fun out here at the Shell factory. So, Trace and Sean, you got nothing to do today. This is where you want to come. I'm telling you, everything starts this morning, lasts all day.
All lit up. It looks like such a good time out there.
I want to do that zip line.
I know.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Andrew pushing buttons, though, makes me a little nervous.
He'll be coming up with
Got a lot
new
of
stuff
joy
coming up.
Yeah. All right, we want to feature your nonprofit organization, special fundraising event, or unique attraction in our Where's Wink Now segment in the mornings. Just send us an email to thismorning@winknews.com. Tell us what's going on. We'd love to come out, have some fun, and share some good news about what's happening with the entire community.
And as we head to break, here's a look at some of the storms Mary Mays is tracking offshore this morning. Of course, we want to keep a close eye on these heading this way. If a lot of you out there have some boating plans, maybe you're heading out to the beach, you want to know where those splash and dash spots are going to be headed your way, stay with us. You're watching Week News This Morning, Southwest Florida News League.
T-shirt, she was killing me in that mini skirt, skipping rocks on the river by the railroad tracks. She had a suntan line and red lip.
The Gallianathon is on at Galliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and Galliana Kia. Over 1,000 new and used vehicles on site, on sale. New cars from only $12,999. Pre-owned from only $49.90. Don't pay a thing till spring. 0 down, 0 payments, or 0% APR for up to 72 months. Plus, we will beat any trade appraisal by $1,000.
I will save you money.
Galliana Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Welcome back at 6:30, and we are on top of breaking news this morning. Fort Myers police are now investigating a deadly shooting on Fowler Street.
That's right. Wink News, we are learning this is a homicide investigation, and Wink News was the first on the scene near the 3000 block of Fowler Street in Fort Myers. That's where we find Wink News reporter Stephanie Susskind live now with the latest details. Stephanie.
Well, the scene is now clear, but the investigation is very active. Take a look out here. We're right off Fowler Street and Hunter Terrace. The shooting happened outside Tropical Creole Restaurant just after 2 o'clock this morning. Now, Fort Myers police tell Wink News this is now a homicide investigation. They say they responded to the call about a shooting just after 2 o'clock. When they arrived out here, there was a man suffering from a gunshot wound on the ground. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, police say that this was gunfire exchange between two people. They tell us that the other person did remain on scene to talk with detectives. Earlier this morning, we spoke to a sergeant on scene who told us that a person of interest was detained. So we don't know yet whether that other person involved will be facing charges in all of this, but we do know that one person is dead. Now, detectives were out here as well as the FDLE crime scene techs. They were collecting evidence. There was more than a dozen evidence markers all across this parking lot earlier this morning as they continued to collect evidence and look for clues into what led up to this deadly shooting. We do know that there was a very large and boisterous crowd right after this happened. Of course, Wink News will be working to get you more information. Count on updates as soon as we have them. Live in Fort Myers, Stephanie Susskind, Wink News This Morning.
Now, Wink weather on the ones.
News traffic, Trace, Sean.
John, thank you. Europe is coping with what some are calling a humanitarian crisis. People from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan fleeing war and conflict are desperate to start their new lives.
But as Kim Hutcherson reports, the journey has not been easy.
A wave of refugees, most of them fleeing Syria's 4-year civil war, has finally captured the world's attention. The conflict has killed 250,000 Syrians and displaced half the country's population.
She pulled up the shirt of her little 6-year-old boy and showed me the shrapnel that had come in and pierced his stomach and their home. And she said, "What choice did I have but to leave?"
This weekend, thousands arrived in Austria and Germany.
I think that the people and governments of Austria and Germany are an example to all of us. What they have done is outstanding. It's so impressive over this last few days to see those two governments step up.
Everyday Austrians and Germans have turned out to meet arriving refugees with food, water, clothing, and open arms. On Sunday, Pope Francis implored the Catholic faithful to provide shelter and assistance to those in need, asking parishes to sponsor refugee families. But U.S. officials say the crisis could get worse.
Well, I think you'll have to expect that the 11 million homeless in Syria, that number is going to increase if the civil war in Syria goes on, and it's likely to do that.
Kim Hutcherson, Wink News This Morning.
And the numbers of people being processed in Austria and Germany alone is staggering. Austria accepted 13,000 refugees this very weekend, and some 8,000 arrived in Munich, Germany on Sunday.
Happening now in North and South Korea, talks of reunions. This refers to reuniting families separated by the Korean War back in the early 1950s. The highly emotional reunions have not happened since early last year. Most applicants are 70 years old or older and desperate to see their loved ones before they die. A number of Koreans don't even know whether relatives on the other side of the border are still alive because their governments mostly ban the exchange of letters, phone calls, or emails.
Today, family, friends, and an Illinois community will say a final goodbye to a police officer gunned down last week as the search continues for his killers. Funeral services for Lieutenant Joe Glinowicz are scheduled to be held at his old high school this morning. The 52-year-old was shot last Tuesday as he raided. He was pursuing 3 suspects on foot. This morning, a massive search is still underway for those 3 suspects. And a Kentucky County clerk appeals a judge's decision to put her in jail for refusing to give marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Court documents show lawyers for Kim Davis filed the paperwork over the weekend. Davis stopped issuing marriage licenses after June's U.S. Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage. She claims issuing the licenses would violate her Christian convictions.
And new on Wink, already a done deal in Congress. The Iran nuclear agreement is gaining more momentum. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell has thrown his support behind it. He appeared on NBC's Meet the Press this weekend, calling it, quote, a pretty good deal.
People will say, nah, can't trust him. I don't trust him. I say we have a deal. Let's see how they implement the deal. If they don't implement it, bail out. None of our options are gone. None of our options are gone. But this is something we ought to pursue and try to make it happen under the terms under which the deal was reached.
Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz also supports it. She calls her decision the most difficult one she's made in nearly 23 years in elected office. The White House has clinched the necessary Senate votes to ensure Congress will uphold the deal.
Now in Campaign Central, there's a shakeup in the Democratic presidential poll numbers. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders will be spending his Labor Day in Manchester, New Hampshire, riding a wave of good news. A new survey shows the Democratic presidential candidate has pulled up ahead of Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire for the first time, meaning if the presidential election were held today, Sanders would beat Clinton 41% to 32%. Clinton is spending the day in the Hawkeye State.
Well, tonight at 8 o'clock, it is the game the Ohio State Buckeyes have had circled on the calendar since this day last year, the rematch with the Virginia Tech Hokies. Even though Ohio State won the national championship, their record did have one mark in the loss column, and that was the doing of Tech. The Hokies upset the champs in Columbus on their home turf, winning 35-21. Now, you may know, meteorologist Joey Sovine and Wink News anchor Jen Stacy have have had a little bit of a wager on this game. So here's what's happening this year. If Joey's Hokies win, Jen has to do the Hokey Pokey. If Jen's Buckeyes win, Joey's daughter Brinley, her new little 8-month-old Brinley, has to wear an Ohio State onesie that Jen bought for Brinley when she was born. And Joey has to do the OHIO dance to hang on Sloopy. Yeah, this has been such a battle between the two of them since forever.
So either way, somebody's gonna have to do something a little out of character, right?
We'll see. We've got a lot of Virginia Tech fans down here. We've got a lot of Buckeye fans, and I'm marrying into Buckeye fandom.
You are, that's right.
So I got to put my support behind them, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Everyone's having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making Southwest Florida your #1 choice for morning news.
And coming up right after the break, Week News meteorologist Mary Mace is in with us for your weather on the One's forecast. We'll be right back.
All right, a little bit of rush to start your morning. Welcome back. You're watching Week News this morning.
Week News traffic, Trace and Sean.
John, thank you. It is time for your Wake Up. It is all you need to know before you go. Right now, Fort Myers police are investigating an overnight deadly shooting.
It happened near the 3000 block of Fowler Street in Fort Myers, and Week News reporter Stephanie Suskind is live there in the Wake Up with the latest details. Stephanie.
Well, the scene out here on Fowler Street is now clear, but still an active investigation into this deadly shooting. Take a look out here. It all happened right outside the Tropical Creole restaurant just after 2 o'clock this morning. Fort Myers police tell Wink News that when they responded out here, there was a man lying on the ground suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. Now, police say this was all about gunfire exchange between two people. They say the other person did stay on scene and talk to detectives, so we don't know yet whether that person will be facing charges in all of this. Detectives as well as FDLE's crime scene unit were all out here scouring the scene, collecting evidence. We saw more than a dozen evidence markers across the ground. We also saw detectives inside Tropical Creole restaurant gathering evidence. Now, again, this is still a very active investigation. However, this parking lot is now clear. Fowler Street is now clear, so you won't have to worry about that on your morning drive today. You can count on Wink News for updates as we get them. Live in the Wake Up, Stephanie Suskind, Wink News this morning.
Stephanie, thank you. And we're continuing the Wake Up with a look at the top stories we're following for you all morning here on Wink News. The Minnesota dentist who killed the famed lion known as Cecil says he's ready to get back to work.
Walter Palmer did in a joint interview with Sunday with the Minneapolis Star-Tribune and the Associated Press. And he told them he plans to reopen his dental practice tomorrow. Palmer killed the lion in July during a hunt in Zimbabwe and has taken a lot of criticism from across the globe for it. He insisted the hunt was legal in Africa and that he and the others in his party had no idea the lion was a known local favorite.
This morning, a search will pick up again to find 54-year-old Robert Passant. The 54-year-old is lost somewhere out in the Gulf. He was swimming on Saturday with his girlfriend, Sheila View, when their boat started to drift away. It was about a mile offshore near Gordon's Pass. Robert told Sheila to swim for the boat because she's a fast swimmer, but then realized that she would not make it, and Sheila headed for land. She swam for 4 hours to Key Wayden Island, where she told authorities what happened.
Tonight at 7, there will be a vigil held at the North Lake Tiki Hut to mourn the loss of a former Florida Gulf Coast student. 22-year-old Rebecca Oliveira died as a result of an explosion while in Mexico. Mexican media outlets say a gas leak in her apartment caused the explosion, and she was transported to the hospital with severe burns but died Saturday morning. Her friends say she was determined to solve the water pollution problem in Mexico. Again, that vigil is tonight at 7 at the North Lake Tiki Hut.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has taken a 9-point lead over Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire. That's according to a new Marist NBC poll. If the presidential election was held today and Vice President Joe Biden was on the ballot, the survey says 41% of Democratic voters would cast a ballot for Sanders, while 32% would vote for Clinton. Biden came in third with 16%.
Pope Francis is urging Europe's Catholic parishes, monasteries, and convents to take in refugees fleeing Syria. Germany accepted more than 10,000 migrants on Sunday. Hungary allowed many of the thousands held up at its borders to cross the country on trains, buses, and on foot. Now we continue the Week Wake Up with stories that are new right now off the Wink Wires.
More body parts belonging to a child have turned up around a Chicago park. This weekend, investigators found a toddler's head at Garfield Park Lagoon. This is video you're looking at from Saturday after a foot and hands were uncovered. The Chicago Tribune reports a 20-pound weight was also discovered near the scene. Investigators have officially characterized the case as a death investigation.
The Pentagon says Iraq's Air Force has gone after the Islamic State group for the first time using F-16 fighter planes bought from the U.S. Pentagon spokesman Peter Cook commended Iraq for what he called, quote, its successful use of this cutting-edge aircraft in the campaign to degrade and defeat the group. He provided no details on the operation. Iraq's Air Force has been practically non-existent in recent years and heavily dependent on U.S. air power in the fight against ISIS.
A day where a lot of people are looking forward to this morning as Apple is getting ready to reveal its newest creation. The tech company is holding a press conference on Wednesday. It's usually the same time of year that Apple unveils its newest phone. Now, if the rumors are true, Apple could announce an upgrade of its iPhones, likely introduce a new Apple TV, and maybe launch a large iPad Pro. The event begins at 1 o'clock this afternoon Eastern Time at San Francisco's Bill Graham Civic Auditorium. We'll be waiting anxiously for that.
I'm looking forward to this one. I watch it every time it comes out. This one's a popular too. It's a sure sign summer is over. Starbucks Pumpkin Spice Latte, or PSL for those in the know, officially returns to the menu tomorrow. But some are already sipping on the new latte recipe. How are they doing it? By logging on to PSLFanPass.com. Type in the not-so-secret password. Here's a hint. It's pumpkin. And you'll receive a pass to get a first taste. Starbucks said it answered customer demands by taking out artificial flavors and colors and adding real pumpkin. A tall size has about 300 calories.
Yikes.
Wink weather on the ones.
Trace and Sean, back over to you.
All right, John, thanks so much. And if you're up with us on this Labor Day morning, thank you so much for watching. We hope this final day of the long weekend is nice and relaxing.
Yeah, and if you are looking to get out of the house with the family today, the local attraction has a few options for you all. So where's Wink now? Wink News reporter Andrew Scheinthal is live in the Wink Wake Up with the answer. Andrew, good morning.
Well, Sean and Trace, we've been talking about it all morning. The Beach Shack here at the Shell Factory. Everything today 10% off inside the store right here. But if you mention you watched Wink News this morning, you get 20% off on any item here inside the Beach Shack. I'm joined once again with Ann Sheridan. Y'all have quite the event planned today for Labor Day.
Yes, we do. We have our family barbecue, lots of games and races, our zip line, our fun park, buy one, get one free at the nature park.
And the Beach Shack, that's okay. And the Beach Shack here has everything someone might want if they're going to head to Fort Myers Beach or Estero Park. So you want to head out here today. Shell Factory, it's a great time. Labor Day, don't want to go to the beach. This is where you want to be.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much. Trending this morning, a really heartwarming story out of Texas. For the past year and a half, 86-year-old Jake Reisig has visited his wife, Elizabeth, her gravesite.
He brings her a single rose every year. Now, this summer, Texas faced a severe drought, so he also began watering her plot so the grass wouldn't turn brown.
And one day, the widower noticed a young woman crying a few plots over. He walked over to comfort her and found out her brother, Staff Sergeant Joseph Villasendor, died in 2010 while serving in the Air Force. Jake decided to add Joseph's plot to his daily routine of watering. The next time the Villasendor family returned to the plot, they couldn't believe their eyes. But when the sister saw Jake over at the wife's grave, she ran over and hugged him.
Wow. Very selfless and so sweet. What a sweet act of him.
Yeah, nice act there. Also trending this morning, a young boy obsessed with the TV show American Ninja Warrior just ran through an obstacle course of his own.
Yeah, in case you're unfamiliar with the show, here's a look at what they basically do. It's a grueling test of strength, endurance, and mental toughness. Men and women compete in a crazy obstacle course, but for Yossi Koji, it is a little bit easier.
Yeah, look at this guy go right now. That speed, that balance, look at him go. There he is. He's running. He is blowing through this course. I mean, I can't believe it. He does all this in less than 1 minute.
Amazing. I watched this actually. It came up on my Facebook page yesterday, and that is sweet. He is truly a little ninja.
Thanks so much for watching Wink News this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back on WXCW.
I have more than 30 years experience.